Okay, wrestling fans, Elimination Chambers tonight, 2018, February 25th. I want to address the first ever women's Elimination Chamber. I have a mixed feeling, and I'm going to give it to you. A, I think it's going to be a good match. B, I don't think the match should happen. And it's too late. It is going to happen. Why do I think it's going to be a good match? Because I think talent rises above all. I think you have a lineup of women in this match. Alexa Bliss, Sasha, etc. And I'll predict Alexa Bliss to retain her championship, which I think in this exact scenario, the champion retaining does more for the championship, the Raw Women's Championship, and it does more for Alexa than any other challenger somehow getting the title. That being said, why do I don't think this match should happen? Because I think with an Elimination Chamber, there's a unspoken but understood agreement between the fans and the vague promoters of WWE or the McMahons or whatever, which is we're going to see some juice, i.e. blood, i.e. someone is either going to take a razor blade and cut their forehead, or they're going to get blood naturally, if you want to call it that way, from this most insane, violent chamber, the Elimination Chamber. If you look at some of the, and I haven't seen every single Elimination Chamber match. I do have the DVD set that came out 5 or 6 years ago, but I remember the first couple of Elimination Chambers, the Shawn Michaels one at Survivor Series 02, and then they kind of did one, I think, at SummerSlam 03 with Triple H winning, and Kevin Nash and Jericho were in that one. But I think, and Goldberg was in that one. That was a pretty good one. But I think in some of those early Elimination Chambers, it was pretty much a given you were going to see some blood. Now, the more recent years, I haven't watched every Elimination Chamber, but I'll say this. I don't think, or I don't know if there has or hasn't been blood every single time in these Elimination Chambers, but the promise is always there, okay? The promise is, if you have this giant fucking violent structure, why wouldn't you expect as a fan to see some blood? Now, with these women wrestlers, and I don't think this is sexist. I just think it's the way I feel. And if that's sexist, so be it. It's not meant to be sexist, but I don't want to see Alexa Bliss take a razor blade and cut her forehead open. Okay? Call me crazy. I don't want to see Sasha slice her fucking head open, or you know what I mean? I don't want to see these women. It's not that they have to be beauty queens, but they are very attractive, and they have nice faces, and they have a whole life ahead of them with whatever they want to do. If they want to get into acting or modeling or just continue in the wrestling business, I don't think it helps if Sasha Banks and Bayley are walking around like with Dusty Rhodes and Abdullah the Butcher foreheads. You know what I'm just saying? So it's a thing where if it's a ladder match, or if it's, even the Hell in the Cell is kind of like that with Charlotte and Sasha, which I haven't seen yet, but from my understanding it was a dud because they couldn't go through a table. But if you're going to have these violent structure matches with women athletes, I don't know if that's progress. I don't know if that's, sometimes why don't we have a new type of match that's exclusive for the women? And I have them. That's the thing. I've applied to WWE. I've been interviewed at Titan Tower years ago, and I have match concepts and tournaments that I could present that we could do exclusive for the women, but obviously I'm not hired by WWE because I'm sitting here in my car and talking to you. But the point is, I just don't think that equality has to mean doing the same type of wrestling match. I'm trying to spell it out, just like they can have the main event. You could have some women's main events. I have no problem with that. But does it have to be that, we have a men's rumble, we have a women's rumble? I actually like the women's rumble quite a bit. And I was concerned that they would have issues with the top rope, but they really didn't. They did quite well with it. But with this, it's a little bit different because it's not just going over a top rope. It's like, although I think the match will be great because of the talent, my concern is, are we expected to see blood? And I think that you can kind of say, well, probably not. Now, that all being said, if there was one woman in this match that would be good to bleed, okay, in a storyline sense, it would be Bayley. And why do I say that? Bayley's character has been so diminished and so panned, ridiculed, not liked by the Raw audience or the main roster audience, that at this point, if she were to enter the enter the match first or second or third, early in the match, and if they were to gang up on her, or if she were to get a vicious cut from whoever, Mandy Rose or somebody, or even Sasha, or Alexa, or if a bunch of girls were picking on Bayley, and somehow she fucking bled from the head, okay, from the forehead, then I think a bloody, valiant Bayley, win or lose, if she got to the very end of this thing or close to it, I think you could have a storyline arc with Bayley. If Bayley were to bleed, and it's no offense to Bayley, but of all the girls in this thing, that probably would be most up for juicing, for taking a razor blade and cutting her forehead open, it would probably be the little girl Bayley who met John Cena and grew up to be a WWE superstar. She's probably the most dedicated in that sense. No offense to anyone else, and she's not my favorite. But if anyone were to take a fucking hit for the team, I'm just trying to get something out of my teeth, I'm sorry. But if anyone were to take a fucking cut for this match, it would be Bayley. And if she were to win the title with blood on her fucking forehead, streaming down her Bayley face, either to win or lose a bloody fucking mess, that's equality, I guess, in this warped vision. Now, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Bayley bleed from the forehead tonight. I'm just saying that if that were to happen, that'd be pretty good if we're coming this far. Once again, who am I predicting? I'm predicting Alexa Bliss. And what's this video about? It's my concern that this women's elimination chamber is kind of giving this weird false promise. I do think it will be a good match. I think the women will make it work. I just don't think it's a smart idea. If this is the actual same structure, I don't want to see, I'm sorry, I don't want to see women get physically abused like this. I like women's wrestling. I think the talent roster is great. But when you have a match, which the whole idea is basically people just get really hurt, I'm sorry, that's more for like guys 240 pounds and heavier than these women are probably 110, 115 pounds, 130 pounds. And is this sexism? You tell me. I don't think it is. I think it's just humanity. So there you have it, folks. My predictions, I made them in the Wrestling Fans group on Facebook there. Hello to those gents. But I try to remember all the goddamn matches. I'm predicting Alexa Bliss. And my other picks, I did go with Roman. The tag team, I think I predicted an upset with Titus Worldwide winning the titles just for something to happen. I did predict a Matt Hardy winning his match in an upset. I'm trying to think of all these fucking matches. I don't know. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of matches to pick, but the Asuka, I'm taking over Nia Jax. I think Asuka's going to still win. I think I predicted most of the matches to go the way you would expect them to go, with my exceptions kind of being Titus Worldwide and Matt Hardy. And then I just pretty much went down the roster with who you would think. Alexa, Asuka winning her match, Asuka winning, and so on and so forth. So anyway, enjoy the Elimination Chamber tonight, everybody. But let's just reevaluate, just take a pause and say, is this match necessary, this women's elimination chamber? I don't know. I would say it's not necessary. I don't think it makes everything, I don't think it's girl power or woman power or equality here. I think it's sadism. So that's just me. I mean, call me a fucking nut, but I just don't think it's, and look, if you want to talk about equality, switching gears, why isn't women's tennis a 5-set thing instead of 3 sets? It's been said that women have more endurance and more stamina as athletes on the tennis court anyway. So why can't you have Venus Williams or Can you imagine if Martina Navratilova and Chris Everett had played 5 sets? And had those epic type of games we've seen, between a McEnroe and a Connors, or in more recent years, Federer and Nadal. Now, I know I might have just lost a lot of wrestling fans of this thing, but the point is, I'd rather see a Sasha, Charlotte, 60 Iron Woman match, 60-minute Iron Woman match. That's another thing. Do they call They did have an Iron Man match between Sasha and Charlotte, I believe, or was it Bayley? But did they call it an Iron Man match or an Iron Woman match? In any event, that's Mike Messier. Enjoy the Elimination Chamber. You've heard what I've had to say. Let's enjoy the show, and we'll see what the fuck happens. Mike Messier.